in maths we used to learn where fx is a function of x square plus 2x plus 1. Lambda expression with a parameter and an expression for a parameter. Compared to these many lines of code, your code is getting reduced to these few simple lines. You are defining the logic where you are needing. You're not defining at someplace else and calling it. So this is my lambda expression and I have represented it using my functional interface. Now this process method will eventually call this lambda expression.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
So in order to understand about functional interfaces, first let's try to understand about lambda expressions. What is lambda expression? What is their use? So basically in maths we used to learn where fx is a function of x square plus 2x plus 1, something like this. It can be, fx is a function of x where x is equal to x plus 1, anything. So we used to define functions. We had a functions chapter in our college subject as well. So similarly here also we can define a lambda expression with a parameter and an expression for a parameter. We can also say a parameter and curly brackets and a group of statements for that parameter. So this constitutes a functional interface. Why was functional interface introduced in Java? In order to compete with Python with respect to functional programming. In functional programming, functions are the first class citizen of that language. And we don't mutate state, we don't change the value of variables. We just continuously pass them to different functions to get an updated output with each function call. So this was introduced to compete with functional programming. There were other use cases because it is very compatible with the Streams API and it makes your code look very neat and clean. And it basically, when going through the code, if you have a function call and you have the implementation at somewhere else, as compared to you have a function call and there only you have the implementation. So you can see what is happening. So there were many positive use cases of introducing functional interface. For example, if you wanted to create a thread in Java, what you had to do was you could have done runnable r is equal to new runnable, and you can create an inner class here only, and then maybe this is optional to write override annotation, but you need to implement the run method. So what you would do, you are basically maybe just printing something, system.out.print, and okay. So earlier this is the way how you created a runnable and then you could have passed it to a thread. Now with lambda expression this becomes quite simpler. What you can do is you can say runnable r is equal to, your lambda expression takes no input, so this is taking no input, and you are doing system.out.print hello. So you see, compared to these many lines of code, your code is getting reduced to these few simple lines. Okay, let's take one more example. If you had a comparator for comparing two integers, what you would have done is you could have written comparator integer c1 is equal to new comparator integer, and then you could have implemented the compare method, public int compare integer o1 and integer o2, and then you could have compared these and returned the result. You can simply do o1 dot compare to o2, and then this is your inner class how you have implemented the comparator. And now you can pass this comparator while doing some comparisons. So what you can do is, suppose you have a list of integer nums. Okay, so if you want to sort this list, you could have done collection dot sort nums, and then you could have passed this comparator here. Okay, so you have to do this much line of coding. But what you can do is simply you can do collection dot sort nums, and here only you can define your lambda expression. Okay, so what do you need to do? Integer o1, integer o2, and then your lambda expression, and o1 dot compare to O2. So this much line of code is getting replaced by only this much line of code. So you can see there are advantages, and apart from advantages, and you are defining the logic where you are needing. You are not defining at some place else and calling it. You are defining it where you need it. Okay, so this is also an advantage. Now, why was functional interfaces introduced in Java? Functional interfaces were introduced in Java to make them compatible with lambda expression, or basically interchangeably use lambda expression and functional interfaces, or in a way it to represent lambda expressions. So what is a functional interface? A functional interface is a interface which can only have one abstract method. Public interface my base, and we have a method. Since there is only one default method in this interface, we can mark it with the annotation function interface. Okay. Now, if I add another void method here, then this code will not compile because I have marked it with functional interface. So I cannot write another abstract method in this interface. What I can write is a default method in this interface. That is a different thing. We have a video for default method in the interfaces in our channel. Do check out that. But I cannot create any more abstract methods in my functional interface. Now let's see how does it become compatible with lambda expression. So at a later point of your code, what you can do is you can say my interface m1 is equal to. Now what is the signature of this abstract method? It is not taking any input, 0 input, and it is returning 0 output, not returning any output. So you can represent this functional interface with a lambda expression. Let's see how. So what you can do is no input, because our abstract method doesn't take any argument, and since it doesn't return anything, you can give any implementation that you want. So I am doing a simple print operation hello. Okay, so now this interface, my interface, is represented with this lambda expression. This is the relationship between functional interface and lambda expression. So let's see some actual code examples for this. So if you see this code, I have a functional interface. I've called it my interface. I've annotated it with functional interface annotation, and I have a default method. I can have as many default methods as I want. For a default method, I have another video in my channel. You can watch this. But there is one abstract method. If I try to create another abstract method here, apply one, it will give a compilation error. It will give a compilation error because it is a functional interface. It can have only one abstract method. Okay. Now, what I wanted to show you was, you see how I have here at line number 5, how I have represented my functional interface with a lambda expression. So this is my lambda expression, and I have represented it using my functional interface. So this you can do. You can refer your lambda expression using a functional interface. That is why functional interfaces were introduced in Java. And we already talked about lambda expression. What are the benefits of using lambda expression? And we saw a couple of examples as well. So the prime reason was to represent or to refer lambda expressions. Functional interfaces were introduced in Java. And let me show you one more example so that it will be more clear for you, and you will understand more. So let's check one other interface I have. So this is again a functional interface, and as shown earlier, it cannot have two abstract methods. It will give a compilation error. So you can have one abstract method. So here I have a string processor function interface. I call this interface a string processor. Okay. So you can see in this example what we are doing. Okay. So again, we are referring a lambda expression using this string processor functional interface. Okay. So what this lambda expression is doing here, it is taking one argument as an input. Okay. So you can write input directly also, and you can do this also if you want. It is more or less the same thing. And what you are doing, we are taking a string as an input, and we are doing an uppercase operation on that string. Let me run and show you this code. So whatever input we'll pass, it will convert it to the uppercase. And then in order to test this lambda expression, which is referred with the functional interface. Okay. So in order to test this at line number 6, we are calling it. So we are calling this functional interface, and we are calling this process method. Now this process method will eventually call this lambda expression. Okay. So if I run this code, as soon as I execute line number 7, you can see the capital form of our input. We pass small hello world here. The capital form of our input is printed on the console. We can do one more round of testing. Now I have implemented a new lambda expression. What I am doing is I am reversing the order of my input. So if I pass hello world, I am expecting to get a reverse of what I have passed. Okay, and again we have represented it using string processor. So we have represented it using this functional interface, and we have represented this lambda expression using it. Okay, so this is our lambda expression. Okay, and then we are calling the process method on the interface. Because there is only one method in that interface, it will eventually call the lambda expression which you have defined. Okay, so if you want to test this also, we can test that, and we can see the reverse of hello world. We can see here the reverse of hello world is printed. Earlier we passed hello world and the capital of hello world was printed, and here the reverse of hello world is printed. So you can see that using functional interfaces, you can represent your lambda expressions. You can refer them, you can call them, you can pass them as arguments, you can do whatever you want. So this is the prime reason for introducing functional interface in Java, to represent and to refer lambda expressions. I hope, friends, you would have liked this brief explanation of functional interfaces in Java. So these videos are part of our Java interview preparation series, where we focus on some typical interview questions which can be asked to you in an interview for a Java developer. So please watch this complete playlist rigorously. You will learn a lot of things. You will gain a good preparation for your Java interviews. So please like this video if you think it was helpful to you. Please show your support by sharing this video more and more. You can take a screenshot of this video and tag me on Twitter using my Twitter handle, which I have in the description. You can tag me on LinkedIn using my LinkedIn ID, which is also there in the description. You can tag me on Facebook as well. So please try to spread this video more and more with your friends. Also consider subscribing our channel and show your love by supporting our efforts. Thanks a lot for watching. So please like this video if you think it was helpful to you. Please show your support by sharing this video more and more. You can take a screenshot of this video and tag me on Twitter using my Twitter handle, which I have in the description. You can tag me on LinkedIn using my LinkedIn ID, which is also there in the description. You can tag me on Facebook as well. So please try to spread this video more and more with your friends. Also consider subscribing our channel and show your love by supporting our efforts. Thanks a lot for watching.